In this video, we are going to go over the best things I have ever purchased for Jiu-Jitsu. So if you're just starting, or maybe if you've been to a few classes and you have some issues and you're like, we need to solve these, just watch this video. And when you find your passion, it ignites you as a person. You just feel awesome. If you've done your first few classes, or maybe you haven't even done your first class yet, these are things that are in my gym bag and that I am so thankful to have on hand. Last video was all about what to wear to Jiu-Jitsu for your first class. So in this video, we're gonna talk about my top purchases and what's in my gym bag, because these things are really useful. So let's get into it. Number one, you guys are probably going to laugh at this, but this, knee pads. Yes, this is how you get your black belt in 3 years. All right, so I remember I was on Facebook and I got a message from somebody who had recently taken her first class, and she was like, Crystal, my knees are killing me. What can I do? So I have this knee pad. I have a couple sets of knee pads, and I started bringing them to Jiu-Jitsu class because when I would do specific takedowns, like the outside trip, my knee would just get bashed against the mat. And once you begin to have sore knees, it's so easy for them to become more and more sore. So I found in order to give my knees a break, specifically I have one knee that always gets sore, I always have a knee pad. That way, if it does get injured, I can wear this and it acts as a cushion. That way it doesn't get more injured and more sore. Or if I'm just newly healed from, from it being bruised and sore, I'll wear this just to prevent any reoccurring injuries, because if you have something that's sore and it's newly healed, chances are it's going to be very easy for it to get sore again. So if you are a beginner and you already have sensitive knees, you're going to be on your knees a lot for your first few classes, and wearing some knee pads under your gi can definitely help if you have sensitive knees. I mean, just think about crawling around on the floor, would your knees get sore? Or if you're doing a double leg, and typically for a double leg, you're supposed to have your shoulder hit their hip and cause that to have their hips fold for the takedown to happen, and that's supposed to happen before your knee hits the ground. However, if you're just starting to learn takedowns, your knee may hit the ground first because you're not used to that movement yet. And you see a lot of wrestlers always wearing knee pads. I mean, it's very hard on your knees if your knees aren't used to it, and if it's hard on your knees if you're doing specific movements as well. So it all depends on what kind of movements you're doing and how accustomed your knees are to being on the ground. Moving on. Next, we have water bottle. This is, where did I put mine? I'll link it down below. But I have this huge water bottle that I love to bring because you are going to get really thirsty. And another thing that I love to bring too, this will all be linked below the top, I think it's top 9 things that we're gonna go over today, but this is liquid IV. The reason why I really like this is because it has sugar in it and sodium, and it's very hydrating, and it has some vitamins as well. And typically I'm against sugar, you know what I mean? It's the anti-health thing. But I'll tell you what, when you are doing jiu-jitsu, when you are sweating and your glucose will be decreasing because it's such a hard workout, having something with a little sugar in it definitely helps. It helps me get that extra boost of energy physically. It helps me mentally. I'm able to get that extra boost of energy in my brain and in my body so that I can still get those last few rolls in. So having this in my bag, and for me, I find flavored water helps me drink it. If it's just plain water, like I'm not gonna mess with it. But if it has some flavoring in it, like this stuff makes your water taste so good. In fact, what I like to do is I like to do a pouch of this mixture and a half of a scoop of this strawberry protein. So this protein is very clean. This is why I like it. It mixes very well. And half a scoop of this with this in your 48-ounce jug of water, like you're actually gonna drink all of it, which
bruh.
You definitely want to be hydrated because you sweat a lot in jiu-jitsu. It's definitely a lot of sweating. Also, top purchase is a mouth guard. When I first started, I never wore a mouth guard. I just hated mouth guards. I just was like, I'd rather take my chances. And then I remember one day I was trying to pass somebody's guard and my chin just came down on his knee and my front tooth was loose for about a week. And I remember like just picturing me without a front tooth, like that's not cute. That's just not, like maybe I could have pulled it off, I don't know. But that's just not a look that I wanted. And going to the dentist sucks. Like who likes going to the dentist? So definitely, I mean, a mouth guard is something you want to think about. There are a few like cheap options on Amazon. This is something that I got that's a custom mouth guard. It was like $70-something. When I called my dentist to get one made at the dentist, it was like upwards of $1,000, and I was like, it's like highway robbery. But this is something that I got online that I think was like 70 or 80 or 90 bucks, which is, it seems expensive, but it was significantly less expensive than getting one made at the dentist. And with this one, they send you the custom pieces that you take your own imprints with. Now, as a beginner, you might not want to go for this high-end mouth guard. The one that I linked below from Amazon is a custom one that, you can like form fit, and it's very breathable. So I would recommend something that's on the cheaper scale until you know that you are really into it. Like I know me and jiu-jitsu are gonna be together for a while. We wanna keep our teeth. So far, we have our knee pads because knees are gonna get bashed up. You definitely wanna bring a water bottle. I usually like just to fill mine before class because you never know if they're going to have a water fountain, if it's going to be broken or if it's going to be off limits due to what's going on right about now. You have your drink mix for hydration for when your sucrose and when your glucose levels drop because of all the activity. That's super good. And mouth guard. So another thing that I always have in my bag, let's see, where did it go, is hair ties. Now, if you're a dude with a man bun or if you're a female, having a bunch of hair ties is super important. I always use 2 per class. Like I always do a ponytail and then I'll make the ponytail into a bun. I found this is the hairstyle that's the fastest and that's the most likely to stay. So if I went to jiu-jitsu without a hair tie or 2 hair ties, it would not be a good day. So I just make sure that I always have them in my gym bag. That way I can do jiu-jitsu without getting my hair ripped out. Or what's even more annoying is, like, let's say you're about ready to do a move or a sweep, your hair can get caught like underneath your partner, in your partner's armpits. It can get stepped on, and it's not like, I don't care if I have like dirty feet on my hair, but what really pisses me off is if you are about to do a move and you need to move your head and your partner's stepping on your hair. And it's like, crap, I could have done that roll. I mean, I could have done that move during the roll if it had not been for my hair. So I can definitely see why Rose Namajunas shaved her head, because having hair is annoying in jiu-jitsu. Oh yes, these two are good. So another thing that I always carry in my bag is, besides obviously gi and all that jazz, but is sports tape. So I have this also linked. This is my favorite type of sports tape. It works well, it is inexpensive, it rips well, and I like the fact that it's black. If I'm ever injured and I'm using this, or if I ever have to tape my fingers, I find like the white medical tape looks gross after a while because it gets dirty. And also it feels like if I'm wearing black tape, I feel less injured. So it's like, yeah, it's just like psychologically, I like black tape better. Like I'm like, oh, I feel cooler wearing black tape. I feel like less of a patient. Yeah, I feel less injured. So that's why I go with the black tape. I know. And then also, I have this stuff, it is liquid Band-Aid. Okay, this stuff is very, very useful when it comes to mat burns. And also what happens is when you get a mat burn or you get a cut or a scrape or something and you put a Band-Aid on it, you will see Band-Aids on the mat because Band-Aids do not stay on when you're doing a class or when you're rolling. Band-Aids just don't stick. So this, I'll link it down below, but it's basically like a liquid skin that you can put on cuts that just forms a protective barrier layer, and it also is an antiseptic. So I remember one time I was training for like my like bare knuckle fight and it was basically like a slap fight, and I was training so much that I was getting some sort of like skin, I don't know what was happening, but something funky was happening with my skin, and I put that stuff on and it healed it right up. It not only does the antiseptic like kill whatever kind of funk is going on, that protective barrier helps you because you're not getting any more crap on that sensitive area while you're on the mat, and it's something that will actually adhere and stick to your skin. It's not like a Band-Aid where it'll just fall off. So I highly recommend that. That is really good if you have mat burn, like on the tops of your feet, which is very common. It's common for me anyway. Like I'll put some of that stuff on and I don't have to worry about any type of infection. I don't have to worry about additional bacteria getting inside the wound. And I don't have to worry about leaving a gross Band-Aid on the mat. Ew. What else? Oh yeah, these last two are super important. All right, so this next one I had to learn after a while. So basically, I remember for my first couple of classes, like I was like, oh my God, I like need to make sure that I am fueled for jiu-jitsu. Like I need to, so I like ate a bunch and I went to class. Oh my God, if you eat a heavy meal before jiu-jitsu, like you are going to feel like you're gonna puke. So my last two, like the most useful things that you could ever get is time. Like for this tip, if you eat really close to class, you will probably feel like you're going to puke. So give yourself like a couple of hours between like your last meal before jiu-jitsu and the jiu-jitsu class, or try to do something like really light, like maybe some fruit and like a protein shake, just something very light, like a light snack. If you eat a heavy meal, that is just that's not going to be good. And my last tip also has to do with time. If you are a beginner and you are going to class for your first day, or let's say it's like a snowstorm and you know it's like on-street parking to go to your jiu-jitsu class, just make sure you give yourself enough time. Especially if you are new and this is your first class, you want to make sure that you arrive at least 15 minutes early to your first class, because you are going to have a bunch of paperwork that you need to fill out, and there's nothing worse and more stressful than it's your first day and you're late and everybody's already warming up and you have to fill out paperwork, and then you go to class and you're not warmed up. And the number one cause for all of my injuries in jiu-jitsu is not warming up. Like that has been the number, if I were to do a Pareto of like amount of injuries and root cause, like not warming up would be the number one reason that I've gotten injured in all of my jiu-jitsu career. And it's something that can be completely avoided. So if it's your first time like going to a jiu-jitsu class, get there early. That way you can do the paperwork, you're not stressed out, you can figure out the parking situation, you know what I mean? And you can fill out the paperwork, and then you can get on the mat and you can get there in time to get warmed up. That way you can do class and not have to worry about any type of like stupid injury that could have been avoided had you given yourself some time. So yeah, that is my top list of things for jiu-jitsu, things in my jiu-jitsu bag, some tips. So yeah, if you haven't done your first class yet, I'm so excited for you. You're gonna have such a good time. Definitely keep in mind, like, knee pads, they can be hidden under your gi pants if you're like afraid of being judged. But knee pads are commonly used in other combat sports. So don't be shy. I mean, wrestlers wear them all the time, and jiu-jitsu techniques, you know, a double leg is from wrestling. So don't be shy to wear your knee pads to help prevent injury and to help make it more enjoyable. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
I think the girls with their nails done now.